we're going to talk about personality and whether or not it's stable during the course of our lifespan from childhood through to old age. Now, personality is generally thought of in psychology as thoughts and emotions and behaviours and actions which have a certain pattern in us as individuals. And there's a lot of fascinating debate in psychology about whether or not personality is stable across time, and also whether it's stable across situations or not. Now, what I'm going to talk about today then is that generally the idea is, or generally research has shown, and over some decades now, that there is what's described in kind of, research speak, a moderate stability in personality over the lifespan. So, for example, when researchers have looked at how personality changes from, for example, adolescence through to midlife, then what that shows is a moderate stability. And when researchers have looked at personality from kind of midlife through to old age, then studies have found a reliable, moderate stability in our personality. And so we might think then, conclude, deduce from that over the lifespan, that our personality really wouldn't change very much at all from early adolescence through to old age. But actually, a groundbreaking study shows that isn't the case at all. So with this study, it was carried out at the University of Edinburgh, so here in the UK. And I say it's groundbreaking because it looked at personality in a way which really hasn't been done often at all. So the researchers analysed the personality scores of young adolescents at the age of 14. And then they followed up these same individuals at the age of 77, so 63 years later. And that's the bit that is groundbreaking, to be able to look at such an enormous age range and to really look closely and drill down at, what any differences and changes might have been. And what they found then was that there was literally no correlation between the personality scores at the age of 14 and at the age of 77. So in other words, across that 63-year period, then there was a huge amount of change. So how does that square with, what I said at the beginning then about personality generally being quite stable? Well, it is, but it depends on how long time period you look at it. And so where there are kind of incremental changes, so, small changes over a small period of time, then the longer time period you have, those small changes actually, can become the same as with anything, then they can become completely different, and actually overall from start to finish, so they can be huge. So if you look at the differences, for example, between maybe 14 and 18, or 14 and 20, or 14 and 21, they may not be massively different. But when you look at the differences from age 14 to age 77, then they are really, very different. So no correlation, means there's no relationship between the two. They are very, very different. And this is absolutely fascinating. Well, you may be asking, but why does that matter? So what? Well, actually, it has a huge amount of implications. And I'll just run through a few of them really quickly. And so I have spoken previously about whether or not, our happiness and our fulfillment and in life and our life satisfaction is determined by the hand that we are dealt in life. And what this shows then, and I think this is so encouraging and so optimistic making, in so many different ways, that actually our start in life does not necessarily, and that's a bit of a key word there, does not necessarily determine the course our life will take and how much, we can change from and grow from and develop from those initial beginnings. And this also makes me think about Carol Dweck's ideas about mindset and whether or not we have a growth mindset, to use her term, or a fixed mindset. And, these are similar ideas about how we view learning and intelligence, and whether or not those two things are fixed at birth, or whether or not we have any control over them and can, influence them and change them. So I think the findings from this study are so exciting. So for example, really encouraging where we're talking about individuals, children who grow up in environments where there's a huge amount of deprivation, also, children and teenagers who grow up in environments where it's psychologically and emotionally, very challenging for them. This idea then that, our personality can change during the course of life. And so if then we can look at, what the key windows of opportunity are for us to be able to mould and shape and change our personality, I think this offers a huge amount of potential for all of us. So that's it for today's live then. If you're interested in finding out any more about how personality and how our start in life and how our actions and behaviour affect our happiness and our fulfillment in life, do sign up for my free course. It's called Your Path to Fulfillment, Create a Life with Purpose and Meaning. And the link is in the bio on Instagram or on my website, vickynewham.com. So I will be back tomorrow with more tips and more chat from psychology and talking about how we can all create the life we want. Bye bye for now. Bye.